2025, and the time is 6:03 p.m. We do have a quorum of council present. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Councilman Corey Guy.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing. Our Father which art in heaven, come to you, thank you for this day. Thank you for each and every person who came here to gather with us today. We ask that you continue to watch over each and every life, each and every soul in this building and in this county. These and all other things we ask in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, our first item is number 3, which is the next item is number 3, the approval of minutes, the November 17th, 2025 council meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 17, 2025 meeting of County Council.
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion? Call for the question. Those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All in favor. We don't have anyone signed up for citizens' comments. For our public hearing, we have 2 items. The first is 5A, which is ordinance 2025-23, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Chester County and Project P2485. The designation of certain real property in Chester County as part of a multi-county industrial park arrangement, providing for the provision of credits against fee in lieu of tax payments, providing for the execution and delivery of such documents as may be necessary to effect the intent of this ordinance, and providing for other related matters. No one has signed up to speak. Next is ordinance letter B, which is ordinance 2025-24, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Chester County and Jones Hamilton Company, formerly known as Project P2521, the inclusion of certain real property located in Chester County in a multi-county industrial park, the provision of credits against fee in lieu of tax payments, the execution and delivery of such documents, as may be necessary to effect the intent of this ordinance, and other matters related thereto. Again, no one signed up on the sign-up sheet to speak. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to either of those items? If not, I will state that this public hearing is closed. So again, we have number 6, which is the third reading of ordinance 2025-23. I don't think there's any need for me to read that. Is there we're good? Is there a motion on the table for that?
I'll make a motion we approve third reading of ordinance 2025-23.
Second.
All right. Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that motion passes 5-1. Next is 6B, which is the third reading of ordinance 2025-24. Again, since we just did the public hearing, I'm not going to read that either. Is there?
I'll make a motion we approve the third reading of ordinance 2025-24.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call for the question. Those in favor of the third reading of ordinance 2025-24, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes 5-1. Next is 6C, which is the second reading of ordinance 2025-25 to amend Chapter 2, Article 6, Boards, Committees, Commissions, and Districts, Division 1. Generally, Section 2-267, Accountability of all boards, commissions, committees, and districts, and Section 2-269, Administrative and Enforcement Provisions of the Code of Ordinances of Chester County, South Carolina, and to provide for other related matters.
I'll make a motion we approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-25.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, the only thing I want to say is just to reiterate that this is concerning all boards, all county boards and commissions. No board or commission is singled out. This is every single county board and commission.
What did you say?
I just wanted to reiterate that this is concerning all boards in Chester County, all boards and commissions.
Is there any more discussion? I'll call for the question. Those in favor of the second reading of ordinance 2025-25, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All in favor? All right, Mr. Hester, your administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. This is our final scheduled council meeting for 2025. We will have a council workshop on December the 8th. Just a reminder, it will be at 4 p.m., so that's next Monday at 4 p.m. And that will be to discuss and review the future land use section of our comprehensive plan, and that'll be presented by our Planning and Development Director, Mr. Jeremy Ward. So wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We got a busy holiday season. I know all of you we got lots of parades, lots of Christmas parties and things that you all have to attend. So we try to be as respectful of your time as we can during this time of year. Throughout the month of November, our employees collected canned goods, hygiene items, and other non-perishable items for 3 local food banks in Chester County. There was a list that was sent out to employees of what you could bring each day of the month. And so they collected those for the Fort Lawn Community Center, for GRASP, and for Turning Point. And I'm proud to share that we collected over 1,000 items to be donated. And thank you for all of our employees who participated. Our communications officer, Ms. Morgan Shirley back there, she headed that program up and sorted and boxed and made sure that everything got where it was supposed to be. So thank you. Don't forget that Christmas in Chester kicks off this weekend. On Friday, we will start things off with the Christmas tree lighting in front of the courthouse at 6 p.m. I'll be there to say a few words. I think a few of you all will also be there. Our own Morgan Shirley will be singing, so please don't miss that. There'll be a band and I think a chorus as well. Then on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., families can come out in downtown Chester and enjoy ice skating, a sledding hill, a chance to meet Santa, along with many other activities. And then we're going to wrap up that day with the Chester Christmas Parade at 4 p.m. So those of you riding on the float that day, I'm sure Ms. Shirley will send out an email. I probably expect lineup to be at 3 p.m. for that. And as we move into the holiday season, please stay updated on county office closings, landfill schedule, the recycling center schedules. And you can stay updated by following us on Facebook or visiting the county website. We'll have updates for all those as well. And on behalf of all of us here at the Chester County Government Complex and all of the Chester County government employees, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that concludes my administrator's report.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we don't have any items on consent agenda, so that brings us to old business. 9A is update of potential county project submissions for capital project sales and use tax. Mr. Hester. The update for the capital project sales and
I'm
use tax.
sorry.
I guess that's you, or maybe that's Ms.
No,
Workman.
that's me. I apologize. I was sitting here looking. I thought we were on boards and commissions, so I apologize. Thanks for the cue there, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, members of council, I would like to take a minute. And we had a workshop sometime back, and we presented as county staff potential projects that would be from Chester County government, county staff. This doesn't include our elected officials, even though a few of these are partnered with. It did include what the county fire board, which is our previous rural fire board, the submissions for them in their order that they specified. And after leaving that particular meeting, you all provided some feedback as to what projects you thought were would be viable projects for our capital project sales tax for us to submit, and kind of gave me some ideas of the order and priority. So I'm going to read to you the projects that we will be submitting, and this is for you to, again, this is kind of final time to discuss or provide any input that you wish to. and then the projects that we will not submit that were presented that day. And I'll try to kind of give you a reason as to why we may or may not have submitted those projects. So the first, and it seems to be the top priority, was our top priority that was presented to council in the workshop, and that's the federal building that will house probate court. And as owners of that building, I think we have an obligation to come up with a plan for long-term success of that building. It does need structural assessment. We do have, I met an architect myself, several of our staff members met an architect on site a couple of weeks ago to kind of go through some of visually what might need to be done. But we're projecting that project to be upwards of about $7 million, or roughly around $7 million. There's some foundation leaks, but again, we have a building, a beautiful building that I think everyone has communicated to me that they feel it's worth us restoring and doing something viable with. A county roads project will be our second, and that would be, right now we're trying to put a package together, and we're working on a roads list of what that package would look like, but we're doing a $2 million option and a $3 million option. And again, that would really be for the committee to decide on, but we're giving them two options within that. Dawson Drive ball fields, now that they're ours, they've been donated and that land's closed. You know, those ball fields and refurbishing those. And I agree with what Mr. Guy had stated in the workshop, and we should focus on the press boxes, the bathrooms, the fields, and kind of keep that focus on making that nicer. We're looking in the area of $3.5 to $4 million on that project. Rossville Fire Department would be next, and that was number one on the County Fire Board's list, but they're in dire need of a main station. The one kind of hindering factor there is we do not currently have a piece of land. We are working to find a piece of land, but it's got to kind of stay centralized right where the current facility is, and we're hoping that stays around $3.5 million or just a touch under. War Memorial, number 5 is the War Memorial elevators, valued at about $300,000. And then number 6 is rural fire, or the county fire board. I'm sorry, I keep saying rural fire, but the air packs that we discussed, which is for all fire, all county fire or all rural fire and county fire trucks to replace the air packs on them. That's valued at about $2.5 million. Number 7 is it's going to be a county submitted project, and that's a backup radio system. We'll do that. We'll do it in conjunction with Emergency 911, but we'll submit that. Then number 8 was Exit 65 landscaping.
Number 7,
I'm sorry.
Number 7, how much?
$555,000.
Is that the radios? How much?
$555,000, and that's a backup radio system. Number 8 would be Exit 65 landscaping upgrades. We're waiting on a quote from Seaman Whiteside currently, so we don't have a solid number on that. We're hoping that would stay around or less than $1 million, but we do not have a quote. Number 9 would be a fire service vehicle, and it would be a ladder truck for Richburg Fire Department. And we are projecting that between 2.2 and 2.5 million. And then last is number 10 would be County Fire's third option, and that would be Northchester Fire Department renovations. And there's numbers there that vary between $385,000 to $500,000. We're waiting on a little bit more solid number. So those are submissions. And if you do the math there, I have not actually added up all these estimates that we're kind of in the process of finalizing what I call pre-construction rough estimates. And we'll have that finalized by next Friday, I believe, Thursday or Friday. And then we have to submit by the 18th. So I think those total over right at over $20 million, if my math serves me well.
The projected 1% gonna bring in?
We do not have a good, hard projected number now. Last time it was $18 million. So, some estimates put it upwards of 28 million, but I think conservative estimate to bond it, it's probably gonna be more around the 25, 24 million. And that's just me talking. That's just me talking, okay, until we actually kind of go through them. Conservative, yes, sir. So, I have talked to some of, like the sheriff, I know he has one wish that he'll be putting in for, and I know some of the municipalities I've talked to and know the items or item that they're putting in for, including the town of Great Falls, city of Chester, but they may have more. So I'm not sure how many projects, but again, it'll be up to the committee. I think our goal is to just submit viable projects in an order that we think are priority for us, and then we'll let the committee do its job. Just to follow up, the projects that were not included, and I'll give you just a brief reason why they weren't included. But the acquisition of the aquatic center for a future rec center. So I have been in discussions with the mayor of Chester and the city administrator, and had some discussions about that property, and as to whether they would sell it to the county, give it to the county. I think the problem is we're too early in those discussions and talks to get this as a viable project on the books with CPST. And there's too much that would have to take place in too little of time. I think that's something that if it were the wish of council for us to pursue a project like that, and to pursue a rec center in the downtown area on that property, then there's other options, especially being in the LMI for CDBG grants and some other things that we could qualify for a project like that, as well as even our capital improvements and our capital reserve funds as we move forward in the future. But I think first thing would be first to acquire the property or be donated the property one way or the other. Second item was the Hydro Trail. Again, lots of work to be done on. While great ideas that were submitted by county staff, there's a lot of land acquisition and things that would have to take place to work through. So we're in the beginning stages of that. That'll be a great future project. Makalili Street redevelopment that we talked about, again, long-term project. We got a lot of other steps to take place before, we throw just numbers out there and ideas. And so maybe a master redevelopment plan for that area. Airport upgrades, I think, look, if the Airport Commission decides to submit something to the capital project sales tax, then they certainly have the right to do that. I think we've come up with a way to pay for the runway expansion and for the matching on that, as we discussed to council. So not a priority as far as we're concerned on that end. Animal shelter enhancements, let's focus on getting the animal shelter built, and then we can work on future enhancements. And so I think that's our priority right now. The training center that we discussed for the law enforcement joint training center with fire. Again, I think our first focus, I know, our first focus in the sheriff, myself, our staff is to build a new detention center as priority for us over a training center right now. Material and recycling facility, again, not the priority right at this point. Bypass corridor improvements, we feel like there's probably other funding sources that could be sought for that. Rodman soccer upgrades that were discussed, I think those are things that we have enough money in excess CPST. That's a current CPST project. If council would like to see money added to the Rodman soccer improvements for lights and for sod, and to update those bathrooms that are down by the soccer fields, which I think is a really great use of some of those funds, then come after the first of the year, we can amend the ordinance, add it to our excess CPST funds, and take advantage of that surplus of funds that we have there for that project, as opposed to trying to win it on another one. And then the two-tone pagers to go with the radios, just we did not feel that was a high enough priority or a need that for the CPST. Any questions on any of that? Comments, concerns?
Let me ask one. When we did the sales tax the last time, you were not here. And the board came up and they had a list of items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. At the end of the day, what happened, and they did that, the county borrowed the money when they hadn't issued the bond, and that let them reverse the numbers. So for the sake of argument, are we gonna do the same thing this time?
So I think it's beneficial for us to bond that as opposed to wait on increment financing. And the reason is let's just say that we have, the committee decides to choose 4 major projects. And in an increment financing scenario, we would have to wait on one project to get done or more revenue to come in before we could start another project. And the problem, sometimes when you deal with only 6 years to get those projects done, by the time you start your design, your permitting, and you get into the build, you're already two years into the time frame. And so if we had to wait till that 5th and 6th year to start major projects, we could run out of time to spend that money. And so I think the key there, Mr. Agee, and I kind of know what you're getting at. Even if you bond, you have to prioritize projects. Whatever the priority they put them in, you have to prioritize. It doesn't mean you have to start them. You can start, that gives you the ability to start a project wherever it is. But what it means is you sure better be able to fund. You better not run out of money on priority 1 and you've already funded priority 20, if that makes sense. If you're good with your numbers and you think the money's there, or we're blessed enough to have that excess CPST funds this time to draw into. Otherwise, we would have had to pull off of other projects.
Well, the only reason I asked the question, there were a whole bunch of county projects got started before projects that were rated ahead of those county projects that could have been done a lot easier than what it ended up waiting. Just to use as an example, the fire station on South Fork Road was number 1. And it's still today not complete, if I understand that right.
It's completed, but there's a warranty issue. There's a leak under the slab. So we've got to go back, cut the slab up. The bathroom had to be ripped out. But again, a warranty issue we're working on. But and the reality of it is it's not completed because we got a warranty issue. But you're 100% right. And I think the key there to all council is that when I came in 2023, we were kind of behind the 8 ball getting started on some of those. And I think that we would prioritize starting, designing those projects in order the committee gave us.
So it's fair to say that the financing would be in batches. That's how the last one was done as well. I believe it was broken up into 2 major batches, where we had the first set of projects, and only they could be worked on, not the second set, but the first set.
And I wasn't here on that first
Yeah,
part,
and
so
then-
you may be.
It was a mess.
No, it wasn't.
You like it that way?
It was a batch. So we had the first 10 or 12 or 15 projects that we could start on and work on. And then once the funding caught up, we were able to take out an additional bond to fund the rest of the project. That was my memory of it.
So it was two bond,
I believe it was 2, but
okay.
And that
Mr.
may
Darby
be,
would be able to answer it for sure.
and that may be how it was. I know when I came in, everything was fully
Yeah,
funded at that
this
point.
was after this was before your
Right.
time. And if you did it that way, you borrowed the money to start the projects, and then when you got going, you borrowed some more money.
Correct.
And the fortunate thing about when you do bond it, and obviously that's done a little bit conservatively, but we would be in the same position you are now too, to where that we've paid for that bond, and so the money coming in from the next year is going to be excess.
But the federal building could very easily be like the Belts building in Great Falls if we're not careful.
With
Asbestos
reference
and all
to,
that.
well, it does. We've already had, and so fortunately on that building, we've already done the brownfield work on that building. We've got the reports, they've been provided to the architects, so we are definitely figuring that into our cost, the abatement on that.
Is there any more discussion? All right, we'll keep moving. Thank you very much for that update. We don't have any new business, so that brings us to number 11, boards and commissions. A is the Zoning Board of Appeals resignation. Vice Chair Mosley.
Yes, sir. I have a resignation of Miss Katie Fisher as my appointee on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to make a motion to accept her resignation.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call for the question. Those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. All in favor. Next is 11B, which is a planning commission appointment. Again, Vice Chair Mosley.
I would like to also, in this statement, appoint Ms. Catherine Fisher to the Planning Commission, the at-large seat.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call for the question. Those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All in favor. And that brings us to number 12, which is executive session. The purpose for entering executive session is to discuss matters relating to the proposed location, expansion, or the provision of services, encouraging location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by this public body for the following. That would be item A, which is P 2543, and item B, which is P 2588. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion, we go to executive session.
Second.
All right, those in favor to go into executive session, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, we're in executive session.
Katie Fisher. Yeah, she swapped. She came off.